Anderson Cooper sucks, dude. I mean, it was all wiffle balls. What's your favorite musical? I mean, we know Anderson Cooper likes musicals, and he probably genuinely wanted to know. How did you meet your wife? You're a great surgeon, aren't you? It was all softballs. It was ridiculous, which gave me the onus to watch the Democratic town hall instead of the other Republican.
Now, the interesting thing was, though, there were a lot of really good questions from the people, and they were serious questions. I'm trying to remember back if I saw any black people in the audience. I don't think I did.
Well, which seems strange because you would think they would put the token minorities in there to create an illusion of diversity.
Yeah, one would think.
So you watched all of the Republicans. Who would you say was the winner of the six?
I think in their own little way, everyone had a little step forward. I think Ben Carson even got to explain some things, The diabolical one, I don't know. I still couldn't like him. I mean, he was not really that likable.
Well, because he's not likable. How do you like evil personified?
This is the Donald shooting from the hip. You don't take on the Pope, okay? This is stupidity. How is he going to win that? And then he tried to come up and say, after I read his whole statement, it wasn't really that bad. You people reported it wrong. This is what he said. Did you see it?
Right. Well, the thing if you notice about Trump is he covers all bases. He's on every single side of every single issue. And he talks in such circles that it seems like people get out of Trump what they want to get out of Trump.
Yeah. I mean, if you're a Trump supporter, it didn't make any difference. It was like, hey, the Donald, of course. The Vatican has walls. You're right, Donald. You're right again. I think Jeb did an okay job. I thought Jeb had his best night. He obviously knows a lot about what goes on being president. I mean, he was in, the White House, so his brother was there. Were just a couple of the main sticking points he had that I was thinking when he said it. I'm like, that's not going to get you a vote. It's like nobody's really going to say, Jeb, yeah, that's true. And no one had a meaningful job creation plan that they put out. None.
This is like the difference between how the media treats the Republicans, which they just give them all wiffle balls and don't challenge them about anything. The Democrats, because I watched the Democratic town hall, and Bernie got nothing but fastballs. They were clearly out to get him. He came out, audience clearly not on his side. Like when Hillary came out, standing ovation. When she left, standing ovation. And just all this love for Hillary and all these questions to Bernie framed in a Republican standpoint and gotcha questions. But he answered everything because he knows where he stands. The way the Democrats are treated by the media is far different than the Republicans. And clearly the producers gave the questioners the questions because they were all reading off cards. And then they even went out of the way to, well, look, she signed the card to one of the girls reading the thing to sort of disprove that they got a bunch of questions. But one guy said to Hillary, I'd like to thank you for your line. So it was so freaking framed in a way that was going after Sanders because even in the second half, Hillary came on second and clearly she was backstage watching the whole thing, getting information and referring back to when Bernie was on. And it was a total structured for Clinton love fest, obviously, although she did get one hard question about releasing her transcripts, and then she, sidestepped that immediately and said, well, everybody gives speeches, including my opponent. A far cry from Republican town hall, where it's, what's your favorite martini?
He tried to make it a little more personal. That's what Anderson Cooper was saying.
Well, I mean, Anderson Cooper is these same people. The guy's a billionaire from his family. He's a Vanderbilt, for Christ's sakes. He doesn't want his taxes raised. And here they are bashing gay rights, and there's Anderson Cooper, who is gay, just standing there not challenging him on anything. Whereas Bernie was just getting, hey, how come you screwed up the Veterans Administration? He's getting questions like that.
When did you stop beating your wife?
Yeah. And to tell you the truth, I was sort of glad Bernie was getting so hammered because it's going to toughen him up for a general election because it's going to be brutal. A general election is going to be brutal on the guy because he was getting questions like, you're a freaking communist, so it makes me think of Fidel Castro and Venezuela. That's going to happen in a general election. They're going to be calling him Stalin and Leninist, Marxist, and all this stuff. So it's going to toughen him up getting this insane grilling. But he stood his ground, answered all the questions because he has a firm base. and has been answering the same questions the same way for 40 years. So it's not rocket science to him. Where everybody else, things they can say, there's things they can't say, there's things they can criticize, there's things they can't criticize. That's the thing about Trump. Trump can say whatever he wants. He doesn't have to put Ronald Reagan and George W. Bush on hallowed ground all the time, like these other people.
He doesn't have to put the Pope on hallowed ground.
No, he can just say whatever he wants.
I'm sure when he made that comment about the Pope, whoever his handlers were like, "What are you doing?"
These people have no morals, no moral compass. They're just going to say whatever they can to get elected, and that's the end of it. Sanders will stick by his principles, and Trump just covers all bases. Trump will say one thing, and then the next day he'll say something else. People interpret what they want out of Trump. And what they want is a tough fascist running the country.